These are the most underrated players in the NBA. So the other day, I reacted to an article talking about the 5 most overrated players in the NBA, and spoiler alert, I disagreed with pretty much all of them. But that video inspired me to make a list of some of the most underrated players, in my opinion, right now in the NBA. Number 1 may be controversial, but I think Zion Williamson has become one of the most underrated players right now. And the reason that is because his talent, we obviously all thought he was going to be amazing, right? And he has shown when he has been out there that he is amazing. But the problem is he hasn't been able to stay healthy. And I feel like it's gotten to a point where people kind of have forgotten how good he is. Like, he took over that Lakers versus Pelicans game, and then he got hurt right at the end of the game, basically. They were going to, in my opinion, win that game had he stayed healthy. Like, he was that good. Nobody could stop him. Nobody. And when he's playing, nobody can stop him in general. There is no defender that can guard Zion. So while we all obviously recognized his talent coming into the league, and I feel like at that point, his first couple of seasons, he was properly rated. Like, people, were hyping him, and, fair enough. But I feel like now it's gotten to a point where people underrate him because he is really up there with the best players in the league. It's just he's never healthy to show it enough. Number 2 is Gary Payton II. I feel like similar to Zion, when the Warriors had their 2022 championship run, GP2 was rated properly. Like, everyone gave him his love for how good of a player he was and how much impact he had on that team. But I feel like because, he went to Portland and then he came back to the Warriors, and the Warriors haven't had as much success, and Gary Payton has been in and out of the lineup, due to some injuries and stuff like that. I feel like people have forgotten how important he is to that team and his defense. He makes things happen, and he is such a smart player. Don't let his numbers fool you. He's not going to put up these crazy statistics. But when he's on the floor, they're better, they're smarter, they are more poised, like everything. So don't sleep on GP2. He is really that good. And he's always a highlight dunk waiting to happen. So that's always fun to watch too. Number 3 is Nick Richards. Now, I feel like out of everybody on this list, he is probably the least known because he is on Charlotte and he didn't always get the most playing time. But this past season, he was getting a lot more consistent minutes, and you could finally see, his talent and his skill. And let's talk about, he was low-key doing really good things. Or I guess high-key because he was actually doing it, but low-key because no one was talking about it because he's on the Hornets. But he is actually a very serviceable center. And I hate that word serviceable, but I couldn't think of a better way to describe it. I didn't want to just say a good center. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why the Knicks are targeting him to go after him. And funny enough, a few weeks ago, before the report came out that the Knicks were targeting him, when I was thinking about, or whenever Isaiah Hartenstein signed, with the Thunder, I was like, who they should go after? Nick Richards. He would be the perfect backup center on that team. And what do you know? The Knicks are targeting him. I don't know if they still are, but they were for a moment. He is definitely someone who can contribute as a backup center on basically any team. And he's still, I think he's 26, so he's still in his prime. He has plenty of time to contribute. And his contract, I think he has a 2-year, $5 million deal. So it's team friendly, all around. Very underrated player. Definitely watch out for him next season, especially if he ends up with the Knicks, because he is going to show you why he is in the NBA. Number 4 is KCP. KCP will continue to be one of the most underrated players in the NBA. Now, unlike some of these other players on this list, I do feel like people have given KCP his love. People have talked about how important he was to the Lakers, to the Denver Nuggets. So it's not that people haven't shown their love to him. It's that somehow it's not enough. Every time he's out there, he contributes to winning basketball. When he is out there, your team wins. It's just inevitable. He's not going to put up crazy stats, but his value is so noticed when he's gone. When he left the Lakers. And I feel like you're going to see it this year with Denver. His value is just so important to all these teams. And KCP to the Magic, oof, the Magic got a good one. And the last underrated player on this list is Pascal Siakam. Now, when he was on Toronto, up until literally him being traded, I feel like he was properly rated. Like, people talked about how good he was, and there were some people who thought he was overrated at that point, honestly. I didn't think he was overrated, but I know some people did think that. But now that he's gone to Indiana, it's like a completely different story. I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know if it's just because players trading teams makes people forget who this player was, because now he is, I guess you could still say he's their number one scoring option because Halliburton is pass first, but the team is obviously centered around Halliburton. So now that the attention, so to speak, is not as much on Siakam, I feel like people have forgotten how good he is. And I feel like he actually did show how good of a player he still is in the playoffs. Like, he did have some games where he wasn't the best, but he had some really awesome games as well. Like, do you remember that game? It was one of the games against the Knicks. He could not miss. I think he made like his first 8 or 9 shots. Like, I don't remember what it was, but he was going crazy. And despite that, like, I still feel like people forgot and are not talking about him and how much he's going to make the Pacers even better this season. Because now, he has, been there for a little while. I mean, not that long. He was obviously only there half a season, but like, he had an off season to build more relationships with his teammates, get more comfortable, all those things. Like, you're going to see how important Pascal Siakam is. I just think you're going to see it on full display. Like, between Hallie and Siakam, their connection, how many like assists Hallie's going to get from Siakam, and how many easy shots Siakam's going to get from Hallie. Like, it's going to be a duo. I wouldn't be surprised if Siakam averaged like 25 easily, because again, I just feel like we've forgotten what he's capable of. Somehow in a short time frame, going from Toronto to Indiana, people just forgot how good he is.